Welcome to the Cranky Curmudgeon Studio Networks, working live but remote during the pandemic. I am your host, Walter Concrete, bringing you a story about cancel culture, a phenomena sweeping the world as we see one person. Could you please shut that noise off? Cancel culture, a phenomena sweeping the world, is where one person pisses off another person. Could you please turn that damn no... Cancel culture, where one person pisses off another and all of a sudden one of them disappears from the public view. But tonight we have a chance to look at that story in depth with one of our own correspondents, none other than Carrie Ling, who is long past but somehow still extant. Carrie, what can you tell us about this particular subject?
Apparently, the little guy gets hit again by big tech. We got Mr. Paul Thomas, founder of the Cranky Curmudgeon's Corner Network, and we're going to introduce him right now. Mr. Thomas, come in, and here we go. Where's my crew? Where's my crew? Oh, finally, where are you guys working tomorrow? Anyway, go ahead, Mr. Thomas. Nice to meet you. This.
Well, thank you, Carrie, for inviting me on your show. And I want to give a shout out to Palter, the legend in news broadcasting. Palter, so glad to see you again. And it's really nice that you're going to participate in this particular effort.
Yeah, whatever. Look, let's get to the story. I got a bombshell coming on right after you that I am really happy to meet. So what do you got going on here, Mr. Thomas? You said it, can I call you Paul?
Sure, Carrie. Can I call you Carrie?
No. Mr. Thomas, what exactly is this issue? Apparently you guys put together a little movie and then you put it on the internet and the internet got angry or something like that. Whatever. What do you got there?
The Cranky Curmudgeon Corner is basically a discussion group over certain issues topic that is decided on beforehand. And what we did with this particular topic was talk about QAnon. And what happened was...
Wait. QAnon. I've heard a lot of people talking about QAnon like it's some outer space thing or something. You can't put your hands on it, but it's there, it's everywhere.
What we wanted to do was analyze it based on the information that was presented to us from the media. Now, we had talked for about 90 minutes, and our producer, Mr. Sonny Pro Bono, had split it up. He got the editorial team involved in splitting it up into three segments, three approximately 30-minute segments. So what happened was we put the first segment and the second segment on YouTube. It went fine. Good discussion. It was well received. And then whenever Mr. Pro Bono was about to send me, actually, he did send me part 3, which is what I do. The process is I go ahead and edit or give him my seal of approval of the editing job that he did before we ever send it out. When he sent me part 3, there was no content there, just a message from YouTube which said, you have violated community guidelines, and the violation that occurred here was harassment and cyberbullying, which was...
Like my producer's telling me that part 1 and part 2, they're up. Everything's fine with that. What happened to part 3 then? They didn't like it or what?
That is the mystery that we're trying to unravel, Carrie. And one of the ways that we're going to do that is to have this particular segment that you and I are recording, this interview of me, go out over the channel and see what happens with that. Hopefully, when the data comes back, we'll be able to analyze why YouTube decided to cancel part 3. There was no cyberbullying harassment. I went over the footage and it showed nowhere we even mentioned anyone's name. No individual, public or private, name was mentioned. We just talked about the QAnon phenomenon and issues in a very academic discussion as to how it is affecting our society and our politics. So that's what we did.
Did you have any gratuitous cleavage or anything like that? I mean, it might have upset the children or something. What? How did they know? So they just didn't like you. Is that what you're saying?
It doesn't seem like that is what occurred. It appears to me, based on the fact that no one had ever seen it. It was put together by Sonny, sent to me. It never made it for any individual to view. The post was deleted before I even saw it, and I would have been the first person to see it. So that's the thing that I believe happened, is that there was an algorithm in the YouTube mechanism which got triggered somehow. Maybe the word QAnon, maybe some of the graphics that Mr. Pro Bono put in alerted them to the extent where something was triggered that prevented anyone from seeing it.
No, wait a minute. So you telling me Big Tech canceled you before anybody got offended, before anybody, because I'm a man who has done a lot of stuff that nobody ever seen, okay? I know what you're feeling right now. But you're telling me Big Tech canceled you before anybody could have possibly been offended, but my producer said you were charged with harassment and cyberbullying. How can you bully somebody when they ain't in the room? That's what I don't understand. Jesus.
Well, that's why I don't think what happened was an accurate accusation. It was more some kind of electronic trigger that caused it. I can't. Whenever the thing got canceled, Mr. Pro Bono went and he filed an appeal. There was a button on the screen where you could file an appeal, and in that appeal, he said that all we did was have a discussion. We didn't really bully anybody. It was pretty academic what we were doing. But the appeal immediately came back denied. So no one even had a chance to review what Mr. Pro Bono said in the appeal. They just denied it automatically. And I think what's happening here is a lot of electronic automatic triggers, not necessarily anything that any human being could have analyzed and come to a decision, because there was no bullying. There was no harassment. It was a purely academic, but very docile, very courteous discussion with the three panelists and myself as the host.
And I'm looking here, my producers tell me the stuff that is allowed on YouTube, it's like 3 guys and a monkey. And I'm reading the description, and I ain't gonna read it on the air. Okay, that's okay.
Very good.
We've got Al Jazeera. We've got Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda's got videos on there. But you, Mr. Paul Thomas of Cranky Curmudgeon's Corner, you seem to be a threat. That is preposterous.
Well, I'm not a threat, Kerry, and
Why'd they take you off then, Mr. Thomas?
Yeah. You know, Kerry, you still have the label on your shirt. Have you noticed you still have that right there?
Yeah, I'm going to take it back. I'm going to take the shirt back. It's a little scratchy, and I'll take it back when I'm finished with it. I still got the receipt. If you got the labels on it, you can get all your money back, no problem.
Okay.
They ain't getting the straight pins back. There must have been 100 straight pins in this bitching guy ain't put them back in there. You got that?
I just thought the viewers might be a little thrown off by that.
I appreciate that. So what do you want? What do you want the Cranky Curmudgeon's Corner audience to know? And what do you want Gary Ling is still alive audience to know, Mr. Thomas? This is disgusting. This is amazing.
Well, I hope that Palter is going to be involved in what's produced here finally, because that legendary journalist being involved at this point should have a large role. I mean, it's just such an honor to be in the same broadcast as Palter, and I just want to thank him so much for being part of this. But what I want
You kissed up the YouTube as much as you just kissed up the Baltic, because I swear to God, they would have taken that one. I swear, what an ass kiss.
Well, that may be my next strategy. I don't know if it turns out that YouTube likes that kind of thing.
So you're saying you don't need my help. You don't need my help. You want Poulter's help.
Kerry, I appreciate everything you do. Trust me on that. I just think that we all should be very much honored by the fact that we have Poulter involved with this particular effort. Now, as far as what I want you
He's a big egomaniac, in case you don't know. He's freaking, go ahead.
What I would like YouTube to do is to continue to allow us to be part of their channel. Now, initially, a comment was made that our First Amendment rights were being violated with this particular act of YouTube. I don't agree with that.
That's important. That's important.
Okay, that could be the opinion of many. It's not my opinion, because the First Amendment deals with government's interference with free speech. YouTube is owned by Facebook, I believe, and they have, as private companies, have the right to set whatever rules they want, as long as they're not in violation of any government rule. And I don't see that what happened was, because I don't know what happened. We don't know what triggered this. We haven't got any explanation from YouTube. And I'm just hoping that we can continue to have our intelligent academic discussions unhindered by any kind of electronic flags that may be coming up based on words or phrases or whatever triggered this particular time.
I've got two words for you, Mr. Thomas. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I bet she's not happy with what you're producing.
Well, as a matter of fact,
is there an earthquake around there or something? Is that like
Sonny did send this information that we were canceled by YouTube to Fox News, and just got a standard electronic response saying thank you for reaching out, but they didn't seem to care at all. And I don't think Marjorie Taylor Greene cares much about anything more than Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's seeing this Trump cultism as a vehicle for her own success in the cult phenomenon. So that's all.
I wasn't going to bring up the former Trump guy. You brought him up. That means I can talk to him, correct? I didn't know you wanted to talk.
I don't know. I don't know if what we're saying today is going to qualify as harassing the former guy. I hope not, because he's a public figure, and I think the YouTube policy is that we are allowed to talk shit on public figures, especially shitty public figures like the former guy.
President Xi, let me throw that out there. You think, YouTube accordingly is an international product, and they are kissing China's ass to get in there because of a huge market. You think Xi said, get this shit off here? Could I say shit? He said shit. I could say, okay. Do you think President Xi wants you guys up, or this, or in a kinky way, do you think he thinks you're actually promoting the conspiracy just by having its name mentioned? I'm confused. And it ain't the gin. I'm just saying, I'm confused.
And I think Poulter would agree with me on this one, Kerry. I don't think that President Xi gives two hoots about what we do on the Cranky Curmudgeon Corner. We have a very small following. We've been podcasting ever since George Floyd was murdered, and our following has grown very slowly. And I don't think President Xi is among those followers.
I may be going out on a limb here. Has CNN contacted you and you said Fox just brushed you off? That's the way they are.
Sonny, they brushed off Sonny Pro Bono when he attempted to share with them what happened to us. Yes.
Well, I know you keep saying Sonny Pro Bono. I know Sonny Pro Bono from way back. All right, he's a real asshole. So you might want to think that maybe he ain't the guy to be doing your PR work. Okay.
Hey,
in fact, I do PR work. I can work with you, but I know some people at CNN. I used to work there. before I went to the Ruskies, but I don't want to talk.
Sonny may not be the best PR guy. He's pretty good with his technical stuff. In fact, if it wasn't for Sonny putting this whole thing together, we'd have never got off the ground.
Hey guys, what they ask is again, what is he asking for a raise, Mr. Thomas? But look, what I find your story compelling, troubling, somewhat complicated. I mean, this ain't some Hollywood starlet coming in there shaking her talent around, but it's just important. This is important, Mr. Thomas. I'll hand you that. I feel for you, and if there's anything I can do to help you, which not much, but you see these bones back here. I got Fox and CNN. They're hotlines to me. They haven't rung in a while, but I'm waiting, and I can pick them up after this and make a phone call, and you will see things happen. And but are you optimistic that things will move forward?
Yes, I am somewhat, because the tests that Sonny and I have done pretty much have confirmed that it was just some kind of electronic technical device that occurred here, not any malicious activity or malicious intent by anyone with the corporation. But I noticed behind you there, where your point, you have your cigar box under your Bill Riley book. Is that what I saw back there?
Yeah, just trying to make a couple of extra bucks with I don't know, some product placement is what they say in the trade. Bill's an old friend of mine. He gave me a couple of bucks, and the cigars are excellent. I don't smoke them anymore, but after what happened at Rushmore, I ain't going down on that embarrassing trail, smoking cigarettes and So anyway, but anyway,
if I can mention Bill Riley's book in order to help you out, Kerry, glad to do it.
Well, don't mention it because it might destroy your credibility. Just the fact that it's back there, if you see it, fine. I mean, I noticed all your albums back there. Are they all real?
They're all really vinyl.
Real vinyl? That's amazing. Do you actually own the little machine that we all used to have? You still got a damn record player.
Well, you know what? I had to buy a new one because the old one, the rubber belt, ended up stretched so much that it wouldn't turn anymore. So I did. Yeah, and actually, they still, despite the manufacturing shortages in the supply chain.
Believe me, they don't make rubbers like it used to. I got two kids to prove it.
All right, Kerry. I was hoping to keep this in the G rating here, but.
You got a producer named Sonny Pro Bono, and you want this G-rated. Then we can edit it out. Look, when they get it over there, they'll take it all out. But anyway, you can do what you want. We'll send you the raw stuff. But this is fascinating, Paul.
But I do want to say regarding the exposure that you and of course our good friend Poulter have provided for us. I want to thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to speak to our listeners, to our viewers this way. And a big shout out to Poulter. I mean, what a great honor it is to have him as part of this event.
You do know I have a finger on the button, Mr. Thomas. I can cut you off. In fact, if that's all, then I think that we pretty much covered it. And like I said, I will do what I can to help you in this manner. But don't count on Poulter. Like I told you, he's just Poulter. That's all he thinks about. But anyway, it's been very nice meeting you, Mr. Thomas. And I want everybody to stick around. We have Jeannie Lolo Giannini coming on here. And I'll tell you, she is a really peach pie, if you know what I mean. So nice meeting you, Mr. Thomas. Nice meeting you.
Thank you, Kerry, and hope to see you again soon.
This has been fantastic. Goodbye.
Bye, Poulter. Bye,
Poulter. Get out of here. All right.
Kerry, that was most informative. And let Mr. Thomas know that since he signs the checks, I will be doing my part. Coming up next on our program tonight is none other than Marjorie Taylor Greene. Animal, plants. We'll look at this subject in just a moment. We'll be right back.
To use a flap, a little flap.
It's kind of like hers. It's kind
Fab.
of flappy. There's like,
Oh, flappy, flappy.